Hi, everyone. How are you guys? Sorry, everybody's muted. I'm going to unmute everybody so they can express themselves. Hello, everyone. Muhammad, yes. Hi, you can hear us.
Hello.
Hi there. Hi, Anna. Hi, Unye. Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good. Great. So thank you very much for joining us today for this 30-minute session. And I have the pleasure with being with one of our graduates from Bachelor of Fashion Marketing, Myra. Hi, Myra.
Hi, have everyone. Very nice to see you. And to
So,
be here today with you guys, even over, online meeting, but still very nice.
so you graduated 2 years ago, right?
Yes, I graduated 2 years ago from fashion marketing.
Yeah, it's
Such a
already been 2 years. Time flies by.
yes, oh my God. I cannot even, for me, it was like yesterday, but yeah, it's been 2 years. And well, very, very happy though. Very happy. It was a great time.
Good, I'm glad. And Myra is actually a graduate from my alma mater as well, because I have done the Schema Business School, but it was like, let me count, 16 years ago.
Yes, I actually remember on the graduation, I already knew that I was admitted for business, for masters in business, and I came to you because I saw on your LinkedIn schema. I was like, I'm going to schema. Like, oh, yes, I decided so after bachelor's, I decided to do a more global global business master's degree, and it was in schema.
Very good choice. So, so today we're together to talk a little bit about your career progression, your job. So I wanted to tell everybody that is connected that what we're going to do, since we're in a relatively small committee, is that Myra and I are going to exchange on a few topics. And if you have any questions to ask, even during the conversation, I don't know if you're familiar with Zoom, but there's a little icon where you can click. It's called reactions, and you can raise your hand. So as soon as you raise your hand, since I'm the moderator of this session, I will be able to see that you want to ask a question, and I will stop and I will let you take control of the session. Okay, cool. All right, Myra. So first of all, introduce yourself to us a little bit, because I know you, but I think the others don't know you.
Okay, so my name is Myra, and the full name is Miroslava, but it's a very short, it's an abbreviation because it's hard to pronounce. I am originally Ukrainian, but I was born in Greece, in Athens, and I grew up in the Czech Republic. So very, the citizen of the world. I lived a little bit in Italy, in Milan. This is where I started my bachelor's, and then I moved to Paris, and it's been 4 years that I'm in Paris. So as I already mentioned, I've done my bachelor's in international business at IFA, in international marketing, in fashion marketing at IFA, and then got my master's degree in Paris in international business. I recently started my career, so from coming back to the creative marketing, I started my career in cosmetics as an international marketer in L'Oreal. After graduating from Schema, I've done a stage de fin d'études, so an internship in the end of the studies at L'Oreal. And then after a competition, I was hired. So I was very, very lucky. I was hired in the same, L'Oreal is a big group with many brands inside. I worked for Garnier Skincare, and I was hired in the same group, in the same brand, but in a different team.
Okay, that's great. I didn't know about that contest. So can you tell us a little bit more about it? Because I'm sure, all the participants are quite curious to know about it.
Yeah, so L'Oreal, I mean, at L'Oreal, there are so many interns. Every 6 months, there are new interns that are coming. Since it's a brand of so there are so many marketing interns. It's a brand that is very strong in marketing in each brand, in each division. So first, there are multiple divisions. We have the luxury division, we have the CPD, consumer brands division, the active cosmetics, and the professional cosmetics. And across all those divisions, you have so many marketings, so many interns in different marketing teams. And in the end, you have those that are doing their fin d'études and they would like to stay. And because not everyone, I mean, there is not enough places for everybody, there is a contest, there is a competition. How it works is that in the mid-stage, after 3 or 4 months, you have to be recommended by your managers, whether, I mean, most of us have done a great job. It's also about your desire, whether you want to stay, about the fit with the company, about your projects. And then there is a competition to do. So you have to develop a project by yourself, and you have to present it in front of the top management and leading HRs, hiring HRs that are looking forward. And then they select people that they think that would fit the most, and that those people start interviews.
Okay.
And then, if there is a match, if there is a fit, you get a position.
And so that's how you got to your current position, which is International Campaign and Content Manager for Garnier.
For Garnier, exactly. Yes. So when I did my internship, I worked at the hub, Eastern European hub. So because I speak 3 Eastern European languages, they hired me for skincare Eastern Europe. And then I passed multiple interviews for different positions. It was not my only position, but there was the best match, and the time. The timing was the best, so I was hired for the content and campaign, which is super, super fun, and I was super excited.
Perfect. You know, when I saw your title, I thought, okay, Myra, like, she loved the classes from Agus, anything that is related with social media, and I'm like, how fitting, you know? Perfect position.
Yeah. So at L'Oreal, there are 2 types of marketing managers. We have the product developers, so those who actually develop the packagings, anything, the artworks, and the strategies of how we're going to launch it. And then there are content and campaigns, so everything that concerns the activation of the product. So what do we do once the product is done? And this is basically where I got it. And for my internship, I was the product developer. And then,
wow. So you saw both sides.
Both, which are very interesting, but very, very different. Perfect. For me, content and campaign is more fun. There are more this creativity that you can explore.
Well, it gives me the perfect transition to the next question, because I wanted to ask you, what do you do as a campaign manager? So you spoke about activation, like, what are your missions?
So once we have a project from the product developer, we have any launch, us as content campaign managers. Of course, I'm a junior. I was hired as a junior. This is absolutely normal when you enter at this level. So I have 2 senior managers with whom we developed a 360 integrated marketing campaign strategy. Being an international headquarters, we develop it worldwide. So we develop a recommendation strategy for all of the countries across the world. So on daily basis, once I have a project, I worked on campaigns and contents like TVC, like POS, like key visuals, very important digital, so the social media, everything that we see on Instagram, and e-commerce, so everything that concerns Amazon. So I worked on the creation of those assets, those that have to be created from scratch. I work with creative agencies, and those that have to be shot, like there has to be a photo shooting, I work with photographers, and then we do post-production, and then adaptation to different countries, which means in terms of languages, restrictions, laws, because something that is, for example, legal here might not be in the US. So it's a bit complicated, but I
No,
don't
but
know if
it's great. I mean, it sounds extremely interesting and something that is definitely up your alley, actually. So I mean, I know that you know, there, because you're a content manager and a campaign manager, you know, there are things that you can't necessarily share openly. But I was wondering if you could tell us perhaps of your time as an intern. You know, if there is like a project that you were very excited about that comes to mind, or like a challenge that you had to face and how you overcame it.
Of course, sure. So I can tell you about my internship, because internship, this was the time when you actually had to, you know, to introduce yourself and to show your creativity. So I did have many projects on my own, especially for the project for the contest. The teams would actually give us budget to, if they would think that our project is interesting, they would give us budget to develop it with to develop the creations with the agencies. So since I worked for the Eastern European market, and you also, this is interesting to tell you that what we see here in France, for example, from Garnier products might not be necessarily the same thing in many other countries,
Mm-hmm.
because the products vary. They actually adapt to the country and their needs. So, for example, in the Eastern European countries, we have a lot of anti-age creams, because in the skincare routine, because women are really concerned about that. And there is a great line from Garnier that is called hyaluronic acid, so like a jelly hyaluronic acid. And my big project was, because there's only one cream that exists for this range, and my big project was to develop an extension. So to actually analyze, to an extension for that line, to analyze what is the trend of today, what is interesting, what is needed, where's there is a gap need.
Mm-hmm.
So I introduced a serum cream and a foam cleansing,
Wow.
and I developed designs with the agencies. And actually, the serum cream went through, and now we're working on the launch. Well, I'm no longer in the team, but it actually worked.
How
It was,
wonderful.
yeah, it was such an interesting project. It was my baby, you know. When you kind of leave, you graduate. This is what you leave behind, and you're so happy.
How long were you with L'Oreal at the time? Was it 6 months as well?
So at the time when I started working on that project, it was 4 months. So
Yeah.
I had 2 months to work on that. Yeah. So yeah, I was at L'Oreal 6 months, and then when I was hired, it's been already 3 months.
Cool. Okay, that's great. Now, a question that comes back very often when I do these live sessions and that a lot of people want to know about. What happened when you were in confinement? Because I remember when we started exchanging, you told me like, okay, I had just started my position, my actual position, and then we went on to confinement. So how did you guys manage to work with these restrictions?
Yeah, it was not easy. It was not easy, but now when I look back, I was like, wow, I cannot even imagine that it actually worked. But when we understood that there is a confinement coming, and when it just came, it was I joined the company only like 1 week prior to this, to everything that happened. So I was a little bit disappointed, because even though it was the same category, it was the same brand, still it was a new team, and I wanted to work with them. I wanted to get to know them before we all go home. So we were quite lucky, because L'Oreal did put a great teletravail system at place, which was nice. We worked a lot through Teams.
Yeah.
It took us very, very long time to adapt. At the beginning, everyone was frightened, but it took us some time to adapt, to understand how to make this work. And actually, after 2-3 weeks, it was going so well that we told ourselves, hey, actually, we can function and we can be efficient. So what I understood through all of this is that communication is the most important. A good organization and communication, really. If this is structured, if this is put in place, this can work.
This is great because it's a great lesson because a
Yeah.
lot of people fear the coronavirus. I mean, here in France, we're quite lucky because we're getting deconfined, but other countries are still in confinement. And I know that there's a lot of anxiety around it. And of course, I mean, we understand it's a dangerous virus, but also at the same time, it really forces us to better ourselves and to get over our fears, and which is exactly what you guys did as a team, actually.
Of course, we didn't stop working because we understood the machine has to keep going and we need to be really efficient. We even have to be more efficient than we were at the offices because now, at a certain point of time, you have to understand, okay, now we work from home and we need to make the most out of it. We need to actually understand how to get the best. And even in my personal, in my work, in my life, besides office, I understood I need to take this time to do things that I never had time for, and to really use it with some, to be really efficient in my life even, and to have something good out of it. And in the work, in the teletravail, we also understood that, guys, we have more time now, so maybe we should focus on some projects that are more time consuming, that have that need more, detailed work, and that need really like the specification that you cannot get in the office, because in the office the time is running too fast. There are so many people, you have lots of distractions. So maybe at home we should focus on something that is more, in tranquillité, like something that requires some.
True, true. I mean, it's a good setting. You're right. Yeah. I do have one last question, and then, whoever wants to ask questions to Myra, please start thinking about it. But what we hear a lot from students, and I think this is the case for all the schools as well, is how do you transfer the competencies and skills that you have acquired during your academic program onto your current job? So in between L'Oreal and IFA, you had schema, but I was quite curious to know if there were indeed some competencies and skills from your bachelor that were actually useful in your current work.
Of course, no. To tell you like a pre-story, like a pre to what to what I'm going to say. Even though I've done masters in international business, I still came back to creative marketing.
Mm,
So actually, everything that I acquired with IFA, I see it now at work, because what is very important, because we didn't have courses and lectures that were giving their lectures by the book. It was actually professors and professionals giving their actual experience from their real life. So this was crucial, because now I actually see this is how it works, and this is what the professors were telling us. So in terms of skills, I think so creative, of course, IFA taught a lot. I really focused a lot on the creative thinking, but also analytical thinking. And the most important, we worked a lot on the development of the style and the taste of beauty and style, but it is with the business acumen. If you have an amazing idea, if you want to implement it, how to make it work, when is the right time, what is the right way to do it. So I think this was the most important, that you taught us a lot about the creative marketing, about the fashion, about the cosmetics, but the most important, business. How do we transform all of this into business? How do
mm,
we make it work?
wonderful.
So there's so many examples. We have done so many projects, and I think this was amazing, because the whole academic program was based on projects, your own projects with professors. And when you go to the real world and you work for the company, you work on projects every day, from
Mm,
A to Z.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You do reports, because you need to report your projects, you do presentations, you present it, you sell it to your bosses.
That's
So
great. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Myra. So, guys, do you have any questions for Myra? Don't be shy. Ask away. This is your opportunity.
Okay, great. Pleasure to meet you guys, and really informative, Myra. It was really exciting, to hear your progression, where you've come from, and your journey. And I just want to know what motivates you and inspires you to do what you're doing. Because with making a product and getting it out there, I think that's just absolutely amazing. From what I'm trying to do to seeing what you've actually done, there's a bit of a bridge there. So I'm just wanting to learn a bit more about what motivates you and inspires you to do what you're doing effectively.
Of course. No, the most important is that you have to love what you do. I always loved creativity. I always loved fashion. I always loved cosmetics. And I told myself, this is where I want to work. This is what I want to do. And when you find the right métier, when you find the right company that you love, the right projects that you do, this what motivates me every day, because I know that I can do it. I know that I can bring something interesting to it. Most important, that I can learn from it. So every day I learn, which actually helps me later on to come up with something even better. So this constant exchange of ideas I give and I receive and I get in return, this is what makes me motivated and keeps me, going. Even during the confinement, even when we were a little bit depressed and everything, I told myself, okay, I love it. I have to go. I need to work.
Great point.
Amazing. Wow. And in the beginning, is that something that you knew you wanted to work for L'Oreal? This is what you wanted to do? Or did it just kind of happen by chance, and you ended up where you are now?
I always loved L'Oreal. I liked the company, what it does, the brands. What I understood with some time, that I wanted to product development. So I wanted to develop products, which in fashion you cannot quite develop. It's more about marketing behind, but in cosmetics you can actually develop yourself and you can put ideas into this. So that's why I chose, and I was lucky to get in after my studies, to do an internship on the tut. It was my biggest choice, and it worked out. So I was quite happy.
Cool. Serendipity, everything positive just came and it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're creating it as well, right? It depends on what you put out in the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Myra,
I wanted,
Myra has always been someone super optimistic and positive with a great attitude. And so, you get what you put out in the world, actually.
Amazing. And my last question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Cool. So with my project, I'm very much into VR fashion. And what I'm looking at doing is, well, what I lack personally is the marketing. So really, like, we have amazing, phenomenal, developments. However, I feel that my marketing isn't to the level it should be. I'm not doing my products justice. And I did hear you talk about that a bit, Mia. So I'm really keen to see what insights and what knowledge transfer you can give me, so that maybe I can utilize it into my projects. That's okay.
Sure. So you're saying that you think that your marketing is not at the level, but what are you struggling with? What do you think seems not to work?
So I have all the social outlets and the website and everything like that. I think it's the content quality that I'm putting out. It's the message that I'm trying to deliver to the clients that I feel it's not connecting with them. That's what I personally feel is what's lacking.
Of course. No, I mean, the most important is to get connected to your consumers the most you can. This is the most important idea that we try to push in the 21st century, that we have to be connected all the time, and you have to bring the right message. Just try to analyze their needs, try to understand. So you are offering your product, and why do these consumers would like it? Bring them the insights of your product. Try to identify the right message to get their attention in the best way, and then you see with the right content, and then you develop the content according to the insights and the idea that you have.
Amazing.
It's a bit hard for me to give you because I have a project and
yeah, no, I honestly, like, for the question as vague and as awful as I was in relaying it, you give me an absolutely beautiful answer. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, but
Muhammad, I just wanted to know a little bit more actually about what you're doing. So you talked about VR, virtual reality. Are you an engineer by trade or?
So I'm a feature engineer, so I work on the logic pathways for AI. So
Okay.
I'm developing an AI stylist,
Yeah.
and I'm also doing VR. So I map out VR worlds, and then I get developers to make it for me.
Okay.
We, yeah, so we did a survey, 83% of people don't have VR headsets. So we're almost finished completing our desktop and mobile version. And our VR, we have the world. It's just making that adaptable for people right now,
Okay.
which is, it's super exciting. Yeah.
It is very exciting actually. And if I can just give an additional feedback as per what Myra said, because here we've
Please.
been launching a postgraduate in fashion tech. We have our new fashion tech lab as well at IFA Paris. And what I've noticed is you need to simplify the language and simplify the content because tech can be extremely abstract. And that's why I was asking you, what is your original training? Because, and I think Myra can attest to that. I mean, let's say for her, for me, since we're coming from the same business school in terms of postgraduate program, you're very formatted in a certain way to talk in terms of strategic marketing concepts and talk about finance and financial projections. And very often we use like acronyms, we use concepts, and we do shortcuts as well, because we feel that, okay, the person's in front of us actually what we're talking about. And to translate that into tech, it's very similar and it's very abstract. So simplify your message to the maximum, actually, you know, and
Beautiful.
rather than thinking of identifying issues and developing tech solution, be very pragmatic in terms of what this tech solution is.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Great.
Beautiful. Oh, amazing. No, thank you guys. Honestly, it's like I said, relaying my messages, because you know when you get super passionate about something
Mhm.
and you're really excited, and then when you try and relay that message, you want to try and tell them everything, but it just comes out in a language that people don't pick up on too well. So
It happens. It happens.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
Even
thank you.
as an example in cosmetics, we also have to always be careful that consumers not necessarily know what we talk about every day about, you know, the ingredients, the chemical composition and everything. We have to actually be very, very clear and to simplify our messages in order to reach to our consumers and to bring the best message.
Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry.
No.
No, amazing.
Anybody else that would like to ask questions to Myra? We don't have much time left, but we can take definitely one more question. Everybody seems to be shy. I'm going to ask you one last question, Myra, because I know that this video will also be potentially be seen by younger people that are aspiring to come and study in Paris and perhaps get a job. How important is knowing French when you want to work here?
Very, very, very important. I'm so sorry, guys, but I can also tell you this, that I came to France with zero French.
Wow.
So France is a very, sorry, Jean-Baptiste, it's a very conservative country. They
You're
do
right.
require, yes. So knowing English is great, but if you want to be hired by a French company,
Yeah.
even if it's international, sometimes they would require French, because even if you're, for example, at L'Oreal, we work in English every day, but the team, there are so many French people. The team, the communication between the teams is in French. So it's better to know, at least to understand and to be able to speak something. When I came to France, I didn't know any. I didn't speak French. I knew bonjour, au revoir, and then just in 2 years, I understood. I set a goal. I need to learn French because I want to do my career in France, which I think is also fair enough. You know, if you want to stay here, if you want to work here, it's better to speak the local language. So I just took intensive courses, and I also, you know, I immersed myself with French friends. I told myself I'm not gonna. So I have my Russian friends and some international students, but I actually I want to communicate with some French natives and to try to speak their language and tell them to talk to me, to speak to me in their language. So that's how in 2-3 years I learned the language. And when I was applying already, I passed my interviews in French. This is the best way.
Very good. Very good. I mean, you're right. It is necessary. Sorry, Muhammad. Yes.
Sorry, Keen. So I just had one question for me. Again, it's, so what's next?
For me,
absolutely, yes.
Yes, I want to stay in France. I love Paris. If I'm gonna be lucky and if it's gonna work out, I would like to stay in L'Oreal, and I want to do my career here. But I want to stay here. I fell in love with the city.
Amazing. No, I'm sure they'll want you. You seem.
We'll see. We never know. But listen, if not, that there are so many other opportunities, and you know, sometimes things happen because they happen, and you have to explore and to go.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's important to keep an open mind, and but most importantly, as you said earlier on, like to really pursue what you want to do, pursue your passion as well, which is what you did, and I think it's a great lesson. So thank you so much, Myra, for your time. I know you're super busy, and we are going to release you. But I really wanted to thank you again for taking the time to speak with us today. And I hope we'll get the opportunity to see each other soon when we're fully deconfined.
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was my pleasure and an honor to be invited, and my pleasure to see you again and to, you know, to be at least a little bit back to IFA. It was a great time. No, great memories.
I'm really glad. Thank you so much, Myra. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.